Benazir Bhutto returns to Pakistan after 11 years out of power, most of them in exile, following rumors that a deal was done with General Musharraf after pressure on him from America. She arrives in the southern city of Karachi, the capital of her home state Sindh, a stronghold for her party. Fearing violence, the police are out in strength. But the warmth of Benazir's welcome disappoints her rivals. They hoped her support would suffer because she has American backing and has negotiated with Musharraf. Her triumphant bus ride through the city becomes a long and noisy rally stretching into the night.
Following that joyous day of triumph, just 6 minutes past midnight, the terrorists struck. It had been a dark night. The street lights had been switched off. We believe in a conspiracy to give cover to the terrorists who struck. And I remember suddenly there was light. And the light shone on roads that were scattered with dead bodies, with people who had been dancing and singing in joy, suddenly crumpled and lifeless. And it was just a scene of carnage.
Benazir Bhutto has been outspoken against religious militants, and many believe this was their revenge. But she hints at a darker conspiracy, closer to the seat of power.
I know who my enemies are. I know who the enemies of democracy are. These go back to the days of an earlier dictatorship in the 80s, which created the Afghan Mujahideen. These elements have destabilized democracy, and they use these groups as pawns in a game to bring in money and power.
Benazir Bhutto is not the only beneficiary of foreign pressure on Musharraf. The next to return is former Prime Minister NAWAZ Sharif, who General Musharraf had exiled to Saudi Arabia. When he tried to return in September without agreement, he was sent back. He is only allowed to return after pressure on Musharraf from the King of Saudi Arabia.
It's a great feeling, rather emotional feeling, coming back after 7 years. I never stayed outside Pakistan more than 2 weeks at a stretch. And before those 7 years, I had to spend 14 months in jail, and Mr. Musharraf kept me there. In the early days of my deportation to Saudi Arabia, I was approached twice, thrice at Mr. Musharraf, wishes to see me. I thought there is no purpose. Now that I've come back to Pakistan, it is because the King of Saudi Arabia told very clearly to Mr. Musharraf that it's not possible, it will not also be perceived well if all the players are in the field in Pakistan and we are seen as holding back Mr. NAWAZ Sharif in Saudi Arabia. In fact, I signed a charter of democracy together with BENAZIR Bhutto, saying that there can be no parleys, negotiations, or a deal with dictators. I've put my signatures on that, and I've stuck to that. I still stick to it. She chose a different path. She started talking to him.
I say I didn't have a deal. A deal to me is for personal benefit. I talked about the holding of fair elections. I said that I could not work and my party could not work with a person who occupied dual offices of president and chief of army staff.
Despite her denials, many believe some deal has been done to allow Benazir to take part in the political process and forget the outstanding charges of corruption against her and her husband, Asif Zardari.
I'm fed up of hearing this word, faced charges. What do you think I've done for 11 and a half years but face the so-called charges? And if I had just said, yes, yes, I'll accept Chief of Army Staff as president, but please drop the cases against me. It would have been done like this. But I didn't. I stood up for the Pakistan agenda. The most important thing for me right now is that emergency should be lifted. And I think General Musharraf did the right thing when he gave a date for elections January 8th.
While the political parties decide whether to fight the elections, demonstrations often organized by text messaging spring up against Musharraf. Many professional people have joined the protest movement. Dr. Farzana Bari is a university teacher and human rights activist.
It is truly a people's movement. I must say, like lawyers and journalists and non-governmental organizations, professional organizations, for example, traders are coming, students are coming. This is a small group, and a lot of them, our own colleagues have been arrested, and obviously, we don't know where they have been sent. They are not necessarily kept in Islamabad. What we know, some of them have been sent to other cities. So I think there is a big risk here. I think the police presence here shows, like there is a war between the people and the state, I mean, they are not there to protect us.
The government has come down hard on the media. TV channels have been taken off the air, but as they fall silent, the protests get noisier. Support for the Chief Justice has had the effect of uniting a wide spectrum of opposition against Musharraf. This gathering has even drawn in the Christian minority in support of GEO, a popular commercial TV station which has been shut down.
We want us to sign an undertaking that we will not criticize Pervez Musharraf, we will not criticize army, judiciary, executive and legislative bodies. So what is this? I think that no media organization in this world can accept the black laws of General Pervez Musharraf.
Opposition has even drawn in Qazi Hussain, leader of Jamaat-e-Islami, one of a group of religious parties which have, until recently, been quite supportive of the government.
Musharraf's government is unconstitutional, illegal, and he has subverted the constitution.
How do you think that the civilian political parties of Pakistan should respond, all of them?
All of them should be united under one point agenda, and that is the restoration of judiciary under the leadership of the Chief Justice, Iftikhar Muhammad Chaudhry.
One unifying theme in all the protests is anger at America's blatant interference in Pakistan's domestic politics.
There's a consensus in Pakistan today. Whether you're a liberal, civil society, lawyer, judges, writers, columnists, religious part, everyone now believes that this man is a disaster for Pakistan. Where is George Bush standing? Backing his man. He still believes Musharraf is bringing in democracy in Pakistan. He needs to have his head examined.
The general has left himself a dangerous legacy. He's trapped between violent religious militants and a powerful new civil opposition, which sees him as the main obstacle to democracy.